she throws the hardest for Memphis. But she has not had the greatest beginning to her sophomore campaign. Going to need a little bit better tonight, obviously, against a very, very talented Oklahoma lineup. The biggest key, I think, for Jericho Tate's success, keep the ball down. You know, like, it's one thing if you don't have control, but you've got to keep the ball below where their barrels can get to it.
She's going to face a very potent lineup tonight as you take a look at her arsenal there, the curve, the fastball, 58, 263. And as you said, Tyler, got to keep it low. You can do some pop-ups tonight, but with the power OU's got, you got to look out as well. 111 home runs on the year, and they'll lead it off of Cassidy Pickering, the left fielder, as we are ready to go here from the Tiger Softball Complex. First pitch will be down and away. So starting out a little low, but she's got the right idea. She's gonna want to keep it around that knee level, probably stay inside a little bit to these left-handed hitters.
Yeah, drop ball, change up, and spotting them location-wise would be huge.
Little off the plate that time. So what you don't want to do here is fall behind. She's behind 2-0. You can talk about any pitch you want to. What's the best pitch out there? And you'll hear whether it's softball or baseball. Best pitch is strike one. Get ahead in the count.
And the thing for Cassidy Pickering here, 4th in the country in on-base percentage coming into this game. She's incredibly selective, and she's got the power to back it up if you make a mistake. So she is certainly going to allow Tate to come to her.
So Tate behind the count. See if Pickering takes all the way here. Pickering on the season, 506 on the year, 12 home runs, 39 RBI, 3 double-digit home run hitters to lead off this lineup. Alyssa Parker, of course, 21, hitting in the 3 spot. Get your big hitter up there in that first inning.
And that's going to be another walk for Oklahoma, and that'll tie them for the national lead with the Florida Gators. 155 free passes earned on the year for the Sooners, so they're not just powerful, they know how to pick them.
Well, so selected, though. 155 walks, only 84 strikeouts on the season. That'll bring up Gabby Garcia, the shortstop. Garcia on the season, a sophomore, 447, 14 home runs herself, 45 RBI.
And so fun to watch. I mean, just talking about what she's done in SEC play already. 2 home runs against Auburn on Friday, and she just hits it where it's pitched, Jeff. If it's inside, she'll drive it to right. If it's outside, she'll go the other way.
And we'll get the strike on the outer half. So much easier said than done when you get coached from Little League on. Take the outside pitch to the right side, the inside pitch to the left side, back up the middle.
But doing it at this level against the competition she's facing is pretty impressive.
0-2 for Tate. Keeps it down and out. They'll give a look to Pickering down at first. One thing that Tate and any other Tiger pitcher will have to do tonight, not be intimidated to pitch to contact. Oklahoma's going to make contact. Memphis is going to have to try to dominate the routine play tonight. Fly ball, catch it, ground ball, make the play.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in our keys to success a little bit later on, but that is one of those things that Oklahoma preys on is your mistakes look way bigger whenever you make them against the Sooners.
That's going to get down and away. And so it was ahead 0-2. Tate now even at 2-2. So you got back behind the plate. Brown at first, Caton at second, Cunningham at short, Davis at third, Waldrop, Simeon, Bernessi from left to right in the outfield. Leaves it low, and so, as you expect, Garcia down 0-2's come back to fill it up.
Jasmine Mack calling this game for Memphis in place of Aubrey Williams, who's been back there most frequently this year for the Tigers. It's a pretty big assignment for a sophomore who's also hitting cleanup.
Grounded it to second. Caton has a little bit of trouble, can't recover, and right there, a quick freebie for Garcia. She reaches base, and that's the play that Memphis has got to make tonight.
Yeah, this tends to be the brick that starts off the building process for Oklahoma in a really big inning. Unfortunately, Taylor Caton, who's been at first, being tried at second base, and at least stayed with it there. You know, freshman, maybe a little jumpy in a game like this, obviously. Got to get her wits about her and got to make the routine plays like that. You need an out every time the ball is put in play.
So that's going to be the 60th error on the year for Memphis. One issue Memphis has had this year on defense at times is letting one error compound. Got to come back now, make the next routine play, and quickly Mac's going to get together with Tate, try to get things settled in, get on the same page here early in this ball game with Oklahoma, as expected, threatening in the top half of the first inning.
Yeah, and you got the wrong person to mess up with at the plate in Kendall Wells. I mean, I cannot tell you, batter to batter, what it is about this Oklahoma team, but their plate coverage is elite. And Wells, I think, foremost among them in terms of getting to pitches that you think aren't in the zone. She'll put the barrel on it no matter where it is.
So the DP tonight, the freshman of Bogart, Georgia, and that one's going to get away. So you had the air, and now the errant pitch is going to advance the runners, both in the scoring position. Now looking for a base hit to make it a quick 2-0 OU lead.
Good job by Mac keeping it in front.
So Wells looking to sit on one, takes that one on the inner half.
You got to be willing to know when to eat your losses as well, right? Like no sense trying to go to third there if you're Jasmine Mack. Can't get antsy.
You got one of the better power hitters in the entire country up here at Wells. See if they green light her on a 3-0. She'll take all the way. 3-0 strike. Now 3-1 hitters count.
You don't have to say better, Jeff. I'd say best. I mean, 21 home runs to lead the nation is just wild. 102 total bases. And again, as a first-year player, we haven't even talked about the defense either.
There it is over to the right side. Quick glove. They'll take the out. So it'll be a 4-3 put out at an RBI for Wells, 44th of the year. That's going to bring in Pickering from third. Garcia will go over to third, but the Tigers do get the out, and OU will get on the board. Early in the game, you'll trade that run for the out.
No doubt about it. That is a victory, I would say, in the eyes of Trina Prater. Now, you have to finish, right? That's one of the things that this Memphis team has struggled with is they get an out, they get 2 outs, they can't get to the end of the inning.
Alyssa Parker, the right-hander. That will get behind. Mack can't pick it up. There will be a play at the plate, but not in time. Garcia comes in on the wild pitch. So unfortunate that time for Memphis. That's going to be an error and a couple of wild pitches in the inning.
That's one thing you'll notice about these Oklahoma runners as well is they're not afraid to take multiple bases or a base that you might not think that they're necessarily in position for. They are. They test every limit.
That one's going to be low. That'll make it 2-0. Parker, 378, 9 homers, 24 driven in, 19 walks, only 7 strikeouts. I think what's more impressive than the 155 walks now, 84 strikeouts. That's been in the first 30 games.
Yeah, I mean, they're a hard team to retire regardless, but the way they hit and just the level of talent they bring from a first-year set of players, right? Parker is a freshman, like we mentioned, alongside Wells, alongside Kai Minor. Those three have been truly cornerstones in this lineup and hard to replace, especially Parker, who is so defensively versatile for Patty Gasso. She said she can play quite literally any place on the diamond. And for that to be what you say about the player who was ranked the #1 pitcher in last year's class is pretty crazy. But you know, this is kind of the player that Patty Gasso deals with now. She said, look, I've been doing this a long time, and the kids are now more physically ready to compete at the college level. Like her track record speaks for itself for anybody who's even turned half of an eye to college softball over the last decade. Obviously, last year's results just slightly below what the Crimson and Cream fan base wants, with 4 consecutive national titles, 2021 through 2024. But she is, I think, liking the way that this team is developing despite their youth, and the small youthful mistakes that she's seen in the early season, even with the 28-2 record.
So they've been in some unfamiliar territory this year, even at 28-2. That's when you've got that elite style program, and coaches and teachers by nature still talk about teams learning to play in front of the big crowds on the road in the SEC. We were behind at Auburn. They were not used to having to come back from 3 down early in the ball game, but they're finding ways to do it. That'll be just off the plate that time to Parker.
In an odd way, it might be good that we've seen so few Oklahoma bats leave the shoulder so far here in the top of the first. But it's a long game to go.
2 runs in already, and there's going to be the second walk of the opening inning. That one goes high to Parker, and so the freebie's starting to compound already. You talk about a couple of walks in air and 2 wild pitches right now. And again, as I said earlier, Tate's going to have to pitch to contact.
Yeah, this is the opposite of that right now. Can't be afraid of the barrels, but obviously elevating the ball also dangerous, even with a tailwind coming from center field for Jericho Tate in the circle.
A little bit off speed on the outside. Kai Miner, the freshman out of Irvine, California. You talked in the pregame about just what all she can do. A little bit of everything, whether it's power, speed, defense. Rolls it to third. Davis will go to second. They'll get the force out there. So you take the lead runner off the bag, and there's 2 away. So Miner reaches on the fielder's choice. 2 down here in the top half of the first. So one thing Tate trying to do now, do a little damage control.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of teams could try and get that ball turned for 2, but it was kind of slowly hit to Davis. So at least you get the 1.
Lexi McDaniel, 500 on the season. Back up the middle. Long way to go for Cunningham. It'll get through. It's going to be runners at the corners for the Sooners.
And Kennedy Semien, the veteran there in center field, I think has got to be a little bit mindful of the speed she's dealing with, because there's no chance she's throwing out Kai Miner at third. You got to keep the runner at first base in order to keep a force out potentially open there at second. She did that, but the ball did go to third base. Tate narrowly coming away just a little bit high over top of that ground ball.
Alana Agbayani, of course, baseball fans familiar with that name. And she's pretty good in the stick and ball sports as well at .459, 5 home runs. As runners at the corners here with 2 down. Tate trying to get out of this first inning. Tate to the left-hander, keeps it down and away again. Now it'll even it up at 1-1. Tate can do some damage control, Tyler, and get out with just 2 runs, considering the 2 walks, the wild pitches in the air. That'd be a victory here. Get your offense up
You'll
to the plate.
You'll take it without a doubt. She cannot, though, give in here with Agbayani working at 1-1.
Over to short, Cunningham. Quick toss to second, and she'll get out of the inning. So Oklahoma's going to get a couple of runs on 1 hit. There was an error and 2 left on base. We have played half an inning here in Memphis, and the 4th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners lead the Memphis Tigers 2-0. 2-0 Oklahoma leading as we move to the bottom half of the first inning. And in the circle tonight for the Sooners, Sydney Berzon, and she has been outstanding, just a 3.12 earned run average.
Yeah, people might look at where Sydney Berzon has come from and say, look, she's not pitching like she did last year at LSU when she started the year incredibly hot, 13-0 on her way to first team, or I should say second team All-SEC honors. But she is beginning to fit a little bit better in bits and pieces. She's going to keep the ball down. That's where she likes to work. Does a great job changing speeds on you. Will spot it to both edges of the plate. But certainly somebody that Memphis, I would say, has to reckon with in terms of just getting pure bat to ball. Ariel Davis has got to set the tone for that lineup in doing so.
There's a look at the Memphis lineup. Ariel Davis will start things off. Mack will be the cleanup hitter, and this is the start of a 4-game homestand. You'll have the call of the ECU series, looking for that first conference win this weekend. 3rd time these 2 teams have met 2 prior times. OU with the 2-0 series lead over Memphis.
It was back-to-back games in Norman in March of 2008.
That would have been the early years of Tiger softball.
Very much so. Would you like to guess what the aggregate score total was over those 2 games?
I was told, so I won't ruin the trivia question.
All right. 27-0 over 2 games.
Here is the offering. Chopped high, but foul off to the right side.
Already, Memphis has improved upon those games in this way, Jeff. Oklahoma scored 6 times in the first inning in each of those contests. They didn't do that tonight.
So a little progression there. Davis this year, 377, 5 homers, 14 driven in on the year.
Really happy for her. I mean, as somebody who's been through a lot of injury stuff over the last couple of years, to get healthy and to start off swinging the bat the way she has, it's been awesome. And you just wish that her teammates can give her a little bit better support around her.
2-2 now to Davis. Nice job to work the count, and we'll pull that one foul. So got a good piece of it. A little bit out in front, took something off of that one. But Davis having a nice first at-bat here, working the count at 2-2 and getting the foul ball.
Berzon last working in the midweek against Tulsa last week. But she can go up to 69 miles an hour with that fastball.
And the right-hander will leave it just off the plate. So Davis heads it like what she sees up there now at the full count at 3-2, doing what you want your leadoff hitter to do. See some pitches. They'll play her straight away in the outfield and the infield. Here's the offering to Davis. Over to the right side. Agbayani quickly to first, and there's one down.
That's the kind of soft contact you're used to seeing Sydney Berzon induce, just off the nub of the bat there. And an easy play for Agbayani. And this is, by the way, one of the best middle infields in college softball. Watch some of their best work over the course of the season. They had a 4 double play game against Abilene Christian a few weeks ago.
Agbayani really smooth over there, and a quick one-hopper to Parker. Over to first in time, so 2 up, 2 down after a really nice plate appearance by Davis to work the count. Verdassi on the first pitch will ground out to third.
Alyssa Parker not scared to play, I think, any distance from home plate. Just an incredible athlete. Basketball champion in high school and state tournament MVP as well.
Faith Brown takes off, speed pitch on the outer half for a called strike. The sophomore out of Hermitage, Tennessee. So the left-hander. Trying to work a few pitches here, a little bit like Davis did. Slaps that one foul over to the Tiger dugout. So quickly down to the count, 0-2. Good Berzon wants to do with her. Waste a pitch or two or come right at her. Right-hander against the left-hander here. Nobody on, 2 down at a 2-0 OU lead, bottom half of the first. Got up under that one, right side of the infield. Agbayani's got the call, and that will end the inning. The Tigers go quietly here in the bottom half of the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. 1 full inning down here in Memphis, and the Sooners on top of the Tigers by 2. Learn more at memphis.edu. Tyler, what are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at Penny Hardaway in a sweatshirt, looking a little bit chilly out there, but he knows how important it is to have high energy. That's a key for the Memphis Tigers tonight, and they've got to keep the ball down in the zone.
High fly ball left field by Emmerling in the corner, and it's gone. A leadoff home run. Emmerling will hit her 10th home run, 28th RBI of the year, and the Sooners up 3.
Took it right off the tip of my tongue. That ball a little bit too elevated for Isabella Emmerling, and unfortunately Jericho Tate pays the price. We talked about the keys for Memphis. The keys for Oklahoma was to attack weakness. They've already done that with the Tigers committing a couple of errors and walks in that first inning, but you see Emmerling wasting no time there on a pitch she feels is in the wrong spot for the pitcher. I mean, cooked right down Central Avenue, and she barbecues it.
Right over the 200 down the line here at the Tiger Softball Complex. And now the 9-spot hitter, Abby Dayton, hitting 500 with 3 home runs and 23 runs batted in on the season. I thought Tate did a decent job to keep it low in the first inning. However, that resulted in a couple of walks, and then the freebies would mount up. The Emmerling's home run, the second hit of the game for the Sooners.
116 home runs on the season. And they have the all-time record, 161 in 1 year. And they are pacing to way outstrip that mark.
And anytime you've got a team at the elite level like Oklahoma, I was talking to some of their staff on pace to get over 200, but then you add, well, we'll also have the conference tournament and regionals and supers onto the World Series. If everything works out for you, you get all those added games to add to a total. She'll take a walk after the home run, so a runner at first. That's going to be the 3rd walk now for Oklahoma, and it's going to flip it back to the top of the order to Pickering.
And for an Oklahoma pitching staff, that might be of concern. For this Tiger pitching staff, unfortunately, it's kind of run-of-the-mill. That is one of the things they've had to deal with this year, is just not being very, very sharp, very, very fine, missing the zone at times. You know, coming into this contest, the tune of 116 walks compared to 77 strikeouts. So they've been upside down too often. They are tonight, but they're trying to manage that.
Pickering 506 with the 12 home runs on the year for the junior at Humboldt, Texas, an All-American, All-Conference, part of that national title team back in 2024. 392 a year ago with 14 doubles and 18 homers.
It's hard for me to say this for the team that has the home run number they have, Jeff, but her power is the sneakiest, I think, of anybody on the team. I mean, she can just poke it, and it'll go out to left field at Love's Field sometimes.
Leaves it down, runner goes, throw down to second. Little off the mark, that'll get out into center field, and OU is going to have Dayton at third base of nobody out, so it'll be the stolen base in the air to advance her to third.
It's a tough break. It was a decent throw for Jasmine Mack. It was tailing a little bit too far to the first base side for Cunningham to come over and glove it cleanly. If she can just line that up a little more. She had, you know, good speed on it. I think it was going to get there on time for there to be a play.
Had that been able to stick in the web, may have been able to come across and get the tag in one motion. But for Memphis, sails out into shallow center field, and now Pickering at the least a fly ball or a ground ball to move a fielder laterally. Of course, OU's not thinking about station-to-station ball at this point. She'll grab the walk, and so that's back-to-back walks after the leadoff home run by Emmerling. Second time Pickering's walked in this ball game.
Yeah, and this is the problem, is that it makes you, as a pitcher, more vulnerable to even one pitch barely missed, right? So Aaron Arevalo is, I think, picking a good moment to go in and check in with Jericho Tate.
Well, Tate so far, one inning, a couple of hits, but it's the 4 walks, and it's not all on her. 4 walks. There was an error in the first inning, couple of wild pitches. And again, it's just a fine line. You're gonna have to throw strikes, but you're also facing most potent offense in the country, arguably. I mean, I think of the home run numbers, as you just talked about, and a team that hits 453 coming into the ball game.
Right, and these are college athletes. They're well trained, and Trina Prater has played in so many softball games, and playing for LSU obviously knows what high level caliber softball looks like. In some ways, right, if you're looking for the generous interpretation for the Tigers, just keeping your wits about you, right? Just keeping, you know, your fingers from not vibrating when you're playing an 8-time national champion, you know, is an accomplishment. But I think that's part of the patient conversation that she's having with the infield right now, just trying to make sure that they know, you know, it's no different than any other game when we were in this situation, right? Just keep getting outs, play to play, and, you know, probably Arevalo saying the same thing for Jericho Tate. You can't let the moment be bigger than it is, but you try and manage that while also encouraging them to have a little bit of fun, because you only get to do this once.
Right, and Trina Prater's done a nice job. Second year here at Memphis. The record might not show it at 7-19, but came in a year ago. 19 wins. That's the most in several years for the Memphis program. Beefed up the schedule this year. They have played a couple of top 25 teams. They played a Mississippi State, a Kentucky, and LSU a pair of times. Have Oklahoma here in Memphis on the way to Ole Miss. Has beefed up the schedule. As you talked about, Hall of Famer down at LSU. She's played at the Team USA national level. She knows what it looks like, and she knows the process as far as building a program. And to put her team on a stage and get a game like Oklahoma is big for growing this program. It's probably that year or two where, you know, there's going to be some close losses, some unfortunate losses. You try to turn that corner in year 3, but so many growing opportunities for Trina Prater's Tigers this year.
Yeah, and growing the fan base as well. This is sold out tonight.
That'll be a strike on the outer half to Garcia. Chance here for, as you mentioned, the softball program at the university to show off this program here in Trina Prater's second season. Brought in the auxiliary bleachers in the outfield here for Oklahoma, and I believe they'll stay, so get a chance to hang out in the bleachers a little bit more this season if you come out and watch Tiger softball. Garcia reached on the air in the first inning and would later score on the wild pitch. There you go, out there in the outfield. He doesn't like hanging out in the bleachers.
I mean, this would be the game to be on the home run porches, right?
Oh, absolutely. That one's going to be just outside to Garcia. 442 of 14 home runs with the sophomore at Chandler, Arizona. Third-team All-American on the all-defensive team in the Southeastern Conference. Tate leaves it outside. Got her to go after the pitch and foul it off to the left side. It's a full count now.
4 errors last season as a freshman shortstop in the SEC in 177 chances is ridiculous.
And you're getting some tough balls in that league. You're not getting like slow rollers. You're getting some lasers hit. That's going to be down and out. Bases are going to be loaded. Nobody out. So a home run and 3 consecutive walks now. And now you're about to get into the heart of the order. 3, 4, and 5. And the last person you want to see coming up, Kendall Wells. Got the ground out RBI an inning ago. Well, it's a chance to blow it open early in this ball game. The OU record for freshmen's 30, and that one's going to be a wild pitch. Kicks out to the left side, and Oklahoma will bring in Dayton from third, and it'll be a 4-0 Sooner lead. But not only do you have the team home run watch, you have the freshman watch here for Wells. I was talking about 30 being the OU record, 37 the NCAA record, so they'll be kind of keeping an eye on that, and that may do it for Tate. Let's take a look. Went down and in, just kicked off, looked like the knee guard or the shin guard for Mack to the left side, had no chance to get her at home. So rough outing today for Tate. She will come out of the game here in the second inning. We'll tell you about the reliever, get things set up for you when we come back to Memphis in just a moment. Fourth-ranked Sooners right now in the second, leading the Tigers 4-0. 4-0 Oklahoma, and Memphis makes their first move of the night. They're going to bring Kate in from second. She'll be in the circle. Looks like Clevitt will go out to second base. That is indeed the switch that will be made. So now here comes the freshman out of Flowood, Mississippi, part of Canada's under-18 team. She's pitched in some big games in her time, but now here on the collegiate level, coming out to throw against OU.
Yeah, Taylor Caton having more and more asked of her here. She gets deeper into her freshman season. She can get up there to 63 miles an hour. It has the changeup that actually operates in the high 40s. Can hit every zone. Has a curveball that she can pull the string on in any count, but still learning as a freshman.
I like the move. You got to like the move from Trina Prater. Again, as she builds the program, go ahead and throw a youngster, a freshman, kind of into the fire. Let's see what you can do here. Can you help us do some damage control, get out of this inning? How are you going to inherit a situation here against one of the highest level programs in the country is back?
Right, and you can only tolerate so much wildness from Jericho Tate, right? Like
right.
There's something to be said for keeping yourself in the game, but also at a certain point, you're upholding the standard, right? Because if you allow X amount of walks and just allow that to be elastic against a team like Oklahoma, then, you know, you're kind of ruining the standard that you've set. But I do think there's a chance that, you know, we see Jericho Tate, you know, later this weekend against East Carolina. This was just the opportunity she had tonight. But I think Mack at some point might have gotten smashed into by a bat or maybe a ball. But she is trying to plug up the red waterworks there, so to speak.
Step up a little nosebleed for that sophomore out of North Carolina, who is behind the plate tonight here and has had to do a little work on the balls that were kept low early in this ball game. But right now, Oklahoma second and third, nobody out. Started out literally with a bang to start the inning as Emmerly hit the leadoff home run down the left field line. 3 consecutive walks would chase Jasmine Tate. And again, the book's not closed, even though she is done. Right now, the line on Jericho Tate, 1 inning, 2 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 5 walks. So look at that home run.
Not a tape measure shot like Oklahoma is used to, but that's, I think, in part for the 13-mile-an-hour wind that's blowing in from center field tonight. But Emmerling, you know, like her teammates, capable of that, you know, even though she's not the starting catcher for this team, can come in and deliver just exactly the way you'd expect with 10 home runs on the season. And somebody who's also, like you'd imagine, a player on a team like this, willing to do anything, right? Like says, hey, I'll do whatever I need, Coach Gasso, in order to be, you know, a successful and productive member of this outfit.
So Wells will take that one. So Wells, again, 404, 21 home runs. The runners on, Pickering at third, Garcia at second. If they are to score, they would be charged to Jericho Tate. First one that the new pitcher, Taylor Caton, would be responsible for is Wells, who just got the freebie down to first base. That brings up Parker. Clean up hitter in the order, and will take the strike. Right now, Kane just got to pound the strike zone. And you got to roll the dice here, obviously, with the team at 453 and the power they've got.
She's coming off a couple of appearances over the weekend in a series the Tigers lost down at UTSA, where she worked 4 2/3 combined and gave up 6 earned runs, including 6 walks. So this has been, unfortunately, something that's been hamstringing her.
Foul off right side. Right now, heels on the warning track out there in the outfield for Rajap and Simeon.
Yeah, can we get a shot of just how deep the outfield is playing, like average depth tonight, perhaps? I mean, it's crazy, but it's not crazy for, you know, Oklahoma fans to put a home run target out there. The outfield kind of recognizes that.
Little check swing there. The ball finds the bat, fouls it off just to the right side. 1-2. Parker, the freshman out of Pecola, Oklahoma, on the freshman watch list, was the Gatorade Oklahoma Player of the Year in 2024 and the 2A 11 District Player of the Year. Got her down and in. That'll be the first strikeout for Tiger pitchers. A nice little sequence time by Kate to come way down and in, and worked it low and try to get her to go fishing after one on the ankles.
That's pretty impressive for Taylor Caton to come in and try and attack an order like this and get the strikeout on Parker. Fellow freshman, if you will. But there are levels to this, and that's a pretty good drop ball.
Here's Minor. Leaves it down as Mack will make the stop. And again, failed to mention, I did, that, you know, not only are you throwing a freshman in the fire, oh, by the way, we're going to put you in against the heart of the order.
That's right. Not that there's an easy part of this order, honestly.
Pops it up left side. We're up into foul territory. That's going to get out of play into the bullpen down the left field line. Plenty of foul territory here at the Tiger Softball Complex in Memphis. So that ball hangs up. As you saw, Cunningham and Davis and Water go after it. Got to take advantage of that foul territory. If there's a play to be made, have to go for it tonight. Yeah,
it's the kind of thing that you've got to do at home when you know what the layout of the field looks like. It's this thing that Oklahoma does so well at Love's Field.
Minor reaches out again and fouls it over the Tiger dugout along the third base line. 10 bases loaded, just one away here in the top half of the second. Minor, the 7th Sooner to come to the plate in the inning. Caton downstairs. A solid pitch on 1-2. See if she may go after something down in the zone or below the zone. Did not. Gonna have to come to her now. No more pitches to waste at 2-2. Got her. Nice job by Caton. Back-to-back strikeouts, and there's 2 down.
Well, all right. We talked about how important it was to keep the ball low, and she's certainly trying to keep it beneath the barrels of Parker and Minor. Strikeouts 1 and 2.
Kind of ran out on her as well. Back to a right-hander, McDaniel. Now framed up by Mack, not going to get the call on a quick 1-0 count. Caton's been equal to the task, came in, walked Wells, gets back-to-back strikeouts now and out away from getting out of the inning. Leaves that one a little low as well. Again, now with Caton, but Tate out, if Caton inherits the trouble but gets out of the jam, you've done some damage control for 2 innings in a row, and you're sitting here against the 4th-ranked team in the country despite a rash of free bases given up. Here's a fly ball to the right side at the track, reaching up. Renessi takes it away, and Caton, nice job to come in for Memphis and get out of what could have been a really big inning for Oklahoma. They'll come away with 2 more runs, though. They did it on a hit, 1 error. They'll leave the bases loaded as she gave it a ride to the warning track, but it'll be a long fly out. 4-0 OU going to the bottom of the second. Well, Tigers get out of a jam in the top half of the inning, so it stays 4-0 Oklahoma going to the bottom of the second. It'll be 4, 5, and 6. Mack, Taylor, and Simeon due up. In the first inning, Ariel Davis did a nice job, even though she grounded out, worked a full count, got a couple of foul balls, saw a few pitches in there, did what she needed to do. There's a 1 pitch out, and then Brown worked the count a little bit. See what the Tigers are able to do here in the second inning. But they've given themselves a little momentum to get out of what, again, could have been just a huge inning for Oklahoma.
Without a doubt, Taylor Caton comes down and shuts down 3 of the most talented freshmen in the country. That's heavy lifting, to be fair.
Swinging a miss and quickly back down 0-2 in the count. Mac 302 on the year with a home run and 9 driven in. And the offering got up under that one, skies it into foul territory down the left field line, and that one going to get into the bullpen. Parker gave it a nice run from third base. Garcia over there from short as well.
Jasmine Mack as long a first inning and a half as anybody out there.
Stays 0-2, trying to hang in there and does a nice job. Will lace that one foul over the Oklahoma dugout. So often, that's a good point, Tyler. So often we talk about pitchers laboring out there with control issues, and we often forget about.
How about me? How about me back here? I got a bloody nose. I'm trying to block all these errant pitches. It's hard work.
So the sophomore gets called strike 3, and she's going to be retired, and there's a 1 away. So solid sequence there by Zahn. Got ahead of the count, got a couple foul balls, but came back and gets called strike 3. Nice job to move it back in.
Yeah, she's pretty solid in terms of keeping the ball waist and below, and oftentimes feels like knee and below. It's hard to chase that.
First pitch strike to Neely Taylor, redshirt junior out of Marion, Arkansas, just across the bridge over in Crittenden County, across the bridge over the Mississippi. Talk about players that have endured and stayed the course. The amount of knee surgery she had, continued to come back and have that desire to want to play has been very impressive for this redshirt junior.
Yeah, it started the year pretty well. It's been in a bit of a swoon of late and trying to get the mojo back for conference play. But having a night where she's not in the field might help.
269 hitter. Checks the swing. They appeal down to third. To Chris Chubb says nope. Barrel was a little out there, but did not break the wrist. Works ahead of the count. Goes after one, tailing out of the zone.
You'll see her throw that, specifically left-handed hitters, trying to get away from the barrel, especially if she's not worried about power to the outside corner.
Pulls that bat back. She's going to work a full count now at 3-2. On the season, 6 walks, 11 strikeouts. She's done that in around 58 plate appearances. So the 3-2. Going to stay high, and the Tigers have the first base runner. A 1-out walk here in the bottom half of the second inning.
75 walks, their first 26 games. Anything you can do when you're a team that's averaging only, 4.3 runs per game, which is pedestrian by comparison to Oklahoma,
right.
Certainly. But a team trying to battle and scrape their way to a couple of runs, good to get Taylor aboard.
Now's the challenge, not just for Memphis, but for every team in the entire nation when they face Oklahoma. When we talked to Coach Gasso yesterday, you had brought it up, and I'll let you talk about the conversation. What does OU do that's so impressive to only allow 5 stolen base attempts, not just the 2 stolen bases against this year?
I would say trust is the nominal word there. Oftentimes when it's Kendall Wells behind the plate, she's got such an arm that people just see it, and it's like a speed limit sign. You immediately slow down. But to her credit, Isabella Emmerling is also trusted back there. She's the one handling it tonight. When you can locate well, you know where the pitch is going, you know what the hitter's probably going to try and do with it. That, I think, plays a little bit better for your defense. And also, it has the added benefit of if your catcher doesn't have to work as hard, doesn't have to go chase one down to the backstop, you're not allowing, free bases to the opposing team.
Humorous when you were talking to Coach Gasso. There's a rip through the left side. Hard hit ball by Simeon, and Memphis has something working here in the bottom of the second.
Nice tomahawk there shown by Kennedy Simeon, the senior. been waiting a long time for the matchup like this. Like you said, like Taylor, one of those who has kind of worn it through the years. Right by Parker at third.
Nice job to drive it. Nina Cunningham, the grad student. Shortstop. Looking for a hit here to bring in Taylor and make it a 3-run game. But going back to the conversation when you had asked Coach Gasso, and she just goes, well, we throw it down pretty well. We just throw it down. It kind of sends a message. Everyone kind of sees it. So she just want that. No one's really tried to run on us this year.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Flashes the bat out there. We'll get the called strike on the outer half. Cunningham on the season, 172. No homers, 6 RBI for the grad student. Went to UCF for a couple years just to go to school. Got her bachelor's in 2.5 years and got back into softball. Left this one into center field. Minor up with it. And that'll be 2 away, and that'll keep the runners at bay at first and second.
I do think there is an element there where, this is not some legendary pitching staff. At least they haven't shown themselves to be that yet, right? They haven't no hit anybody, that kind of thing. But the placement, right? The reliability of this ball is going to be in this spot. My catcher's not going to have to wonder about it. I think does make for fewer opportunities given to run because the pitches don't go wild.
Margaret will take the strike. Anthony's the left fielder on the season. 114, does have a home run. She's driven in 3. Big opportunity here for the sophomore to Lexington, Tennessee. Fouled back. Of course, you're going to hear any competitor. If you talk to Trina Prater, every game you play, you're trying to win the game. But anything you can do positive tonight in this Oklahoma game against a 4th-ranked team in the country. Obviously, the team has struggled out of the gates in the conference. Getting any kind of momentum on the start of this 4-game home series before they play this weekend at home would be big.
Would be huge, especially because they're filtering through a bunch of injuries, right? They're not whole as a pitching staff. That's why you're seeing Caton and Jericho Tate get these innings the way you have over the last little while, and they're not whole, elsewhere in the field as well. We'll see if we get a Serenity Sosa appearance in conference play, but just trying to find who fits in what spot.
Slow roller, that's going to be stabbed in the circle by Berzin over to first in time, and that will end the inning. Tigers a couple of base runners, but they leave them straight at no runs. 1 hit, no errors. They're going to leave a couple on base. 2 complete here in Memphis. OU still on top, 4-0. Tigers straight up 4-0. Tyler made the switch in the circle and inning go, and a really nice job.
Yeah, surprising job done by Taylor Caton, freshman out of Mississippi. Able to compete with 3 of the best freshmen in the country in Alyssa Parker, Kai Minor, and then Lexi McDaniel, and getting them down on strikes and McDaniel on a fly out to right field to close that frame and limit what could have been a much more devastating inning for Memphis. Impressive stuff, and I know that Caton's obviously a talented player in her own right, but this is a pretty big stage to step into, even for somebody who's had, national team experience with Team Canada at the U18 level. So to do it here under the lights and to do it in relief as well, and maybe you're expecting to come in at some point, but you never know when. Pleasant to see her stepping up in that way. It's going to be something you desperately need going forward to American Conference play.
So Caton will look into the lefty. Here is the first offering. They're going to bunt third base side. Davis in. Down to first in time on a bang-bang play.
Wow, I really thought in that instance Agbayani had the throw beat. And I'm not sure if we're going to get a review on that, but I think Patty Gasso has seen her players beat a few of those down the line. They take pride in the infield hits that they can actually beat out. Agbayani being one of them that's speediest. So I wouldn't doubt that they're going to take a second look at this. But it's a good message for the Tigers. They can't get comfortable just because they've seemingly played, Oklahoma to within still in arm's reach for the time being. So we're going to get a little video review from David Irwin and company.
I think Coach Gasso's got a good argument after we saw that angle at least. Nice effort over there at third by Davis.
And the crew's got another angle in addition to ours, but I don't think, you tell me if my eyesight's not 20/20, Jeffrey. That I can either see an optometrist or I think Agbayani's safe.
I think obviously the timing she would be there. Maybe the question is, if they're looking at another angle, I'm sure she did step on the safety base and not the white base. That'd be the only other thing I would look at. But the timing, as you said, Tyler, pretty clear by that one that she made it down there in time.
Yes, judging by only what we've been made available.
Got the blue base, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she made the call for him.
That's right.
As they all do.
As they always do. And got right back to the white base, which is what you're supposed to do, right? Because if you come back to the blue base and you get tagged,
It's an adventure the first couple of years we brought the safety base in.
But in a good way,
yeah,
right?
It's been great.
It's been useful. Hopefully, you don't know about the injuries that you haven't seen because of it, right? But it certainly made the plays at first base like that, just a little less nerve-wracking for parents, nobody else.
If hitting wasn't difficult enough, now you're making me remember when I've got to hit this base, when I've got to hit that base. Here we go. Overturned. It will be safe.
That's fairly done.
The right call. Yeah. So a bunt single, and OU with a leadoff runner on for the third inning in a row. A walk in the first, the home run by Emmerling in the second. Agbayani here in the third, the bunt single.
Curious to know if somewhere Benny Agbayani is like, where was this video replay when I was playing?
Some names, when you follow baseball, stick out as soon as you see that name. Like, that's
baseball's that kind of sport. Yeah. There's certain guys where they may not play, like a Hall of Fame career, but you know the name.
Cops it in there for the strike. Emmerling homer to left field, an inning ago on the first pitch of the second inning. Final line, by the way, on Jericho Tate. An inning to its 4 runs, 3 earned, 5 walks, no strikeouts, 44 pitches, 16 for strikes, and up the middle. Had a chance to get the out of the second, but that's going to be in and out of the hands of Clement, and that's been the thorn in the Tigers' side this year in Trina Prater's second season. Look, your pitching is what it is, your hitting is what it is, but come in with 59 errors on the season. We talked about just dominate the routine play.
I'm low-key devastated for Kayla Clement there because she has the chance to go for you unassisted to the bag there and then throw it first. And double plays are few and far between for this Tiger outfit, especially against the lineup like this. And she just took her eye off the ball for 1 second. That's all it takes.
Dayton would walk in, score an inning ago. Has a chance to drive in a run here with Agbayani just down the line at third. See if they put Emmerling in at motion. They have stolen 41 bases on the year. They've only been caught 5 times. 500 hitter on the year. Has driven in 23 on the season.
Somebody who can play all over the place. Has come in at third base at times this season. Has played across the outfield.
Tries to run it inside. Missed on the bunt, and that ball gets away. So not able to execute the bunt, but enough to provide enough distraction for Mack that the ball gets loose, and a 5th run comes in for the Sooners.
I didn't think there was a worse strike than the drop third strike that allows a runner to first. There is, turns out. It's a strike when you don't actually bunt the ball, and it gets away, allowing a run to score.
Runner at second now. Going to be down and out. Well, again, the Tigers going to have to do some damage control. They've gotten out of some pretty hefty jams. Oklahoma's lost 5-1 in the first 2 innings. Bring it a little bit closer, but still drops off low. Throw behind. Not in time. Nice dig by Clement. One thing you want to do is not try to do, I think you had talked about it earlier, don't try to do too much. Play within yourself. The throw behind, not a bad idea unless it gets loose in the center field.
You got to be careful to make sure that your infielders are on their toes for that.
Leaves it down and away. Well, she stayed away from Dayton. That sequence down and away almost every pitch. That's the second walk for Dayton.
I think down is certainly the recipe here. Away, a lot of these barrels can get there, but it worked in that case. But you're right. Jasmine Mack has got to be careful. We saw her a few batters ago when there was a wild pitch, throw the ball right into a batter's back because she wasn't looking where the throw was going.
Off-speed pitch on the outside. Pickering, the junior. A year ago, 392. Scored 58 runs, 67 hits, 18 home runs. Well, the team in slugging percentage are going to come out and talk to Caton here a little bit out of Atascocita High School, ranked number 4 prospect in the class of 2022 by extra inning softball, and the number 16 recruit by Softball America.
That's, if I'm not mistaken, now I'm going to lose the name. Former Memphis Tiger Patrick Taylor, the running back, I think at Atascocita High School, I believe, once of the Green Bay Packers as well.
They do a pretty good job in their athletic
I
program.
guess so. Yeah, I mean, it's Texas, you know.
Yeah.
How do you figure, right? It's interesting that when you recognize a high school name, you know, the number of rosters we've looked at, obviously you see a few of them come to bear.
Well, I mean, you talk about some of those schools where they recruit everywhere. You throw out the Woodlands in Texas, you know, every sport they're going to have somebody. Yeah, long talk in the circle and in the infield. And right now they're probably doing as much, Tyler, to, you know, settle down the infield. We had a couple of miscues out here. Settle it down. Again, I know it becomes cliche. Ground ball to you. Just make the play. Don't have to do too much. As you mentioned, I think Clement, that ball was hit to her. She was maybe thinking for the flip or the transition a little bit early. Just ricocheted off the glove. When just get it in the glove, either make the tag or get that lead out at second base.
Yeah, and for the wealth of Oklahoma fans that have made the trip, by the way, welcome, and thanks for joining us in Memphis tonight. Capacity crowd here at Tiger Softball Complex, you know, they love it when you make miscues like that because they know their team attacks those things, right? They are nothing if not sharks looking for blood in the water, and they made it, you know, pretty apparent there that they were going to take advantage of it.
Oh, Pickering now has a 1-0 count. Brings it up and gets the strike.
By the way, Pickering, for what it's worth, given the walks already on board, has now reached in 29 consecutive games to begin the season.
That wind still coming in from center field. Started out about 12 miles per hour. Will gust up a little bit more. Did not hamper Emerling's shot. And oddly enough, you and I had talked about before the game with that wind. And I made the statement I was wrong after her home run because she had a towering home run. Here's a fly ball right into the teeth of that wind. That'll get held up in front of the warning track where Simeon will haul it in, and that'll be the first out of the inning. And the runners will stay at first and second. I thought any home runs tonight, well, we'll just see some line drive home runs maybe, and then all of a sudden Emerling turned on that first pitch, hit it a mile high and out of the ballpark.
Yeah, nobody's happier about this weather than Kennedy Simeon, without a doubt.
That ball jumped off the bat by Pickering, but getting right into the teeth of the wind coming straight in.
We're going to see, I believe, Sydney Barker here as a pinch hit appearance.
So Barker will hit. 323 in 29 games, 18 starts on the year, 5 home runs, 14 RBI on the year.
She's very versatile, both with the glove and in terms of outcomes with the bat.
Takes that one down on the way to the right-hander. Sophomore out of Rockland, California. Kind of the one of them we've talked about. They've got a couple of these Swiss Army knife type of players that can do so many different things. But did that last year as a freshman, right field, first base, a few starts at shortstop. And gets well ahead of the count at 2-0.
I have seen her beat out a ground ball to third base and then in the same game go yard. Did that earlier this year against North Texas, a team that Memphis is going to see at some point in American play.
Takes the letter high strike that time. 7 walks, 7 strikeouts. She's done that in 71 plate appearances on the season.
And when you go 3 for 3 against Nigel Kennedy in the Women's College World Series, nothing else looks remotely as tall.
Reaches out down the right field line. That's slicing into foul territory. Long way to go for Nessie. Can't come up with a nice effort out there in right field. Came out with that nice play an inning ago to end the second inning, but just a little bit out of her reach.
I do like these new Tiger uniforms that have got that just thinly colored gray Tiger stripes. I think the pattern is pretty neat there.
Seen that come into a few of the different sports here. They've gone with that subtle stripe in the back.
Not gonna knock it.
That one got away.
Yeah, Bernessi's gonna need the tide after that one, but got close. That's all you can ask for.
So single error walk and then the fly out. That's been the sequence this inning. Barker hitting here for the first time tonight. Rolls it to second. They'll get the force out at second, over to first. Not in time, but that's good comeback for Clement after the error earlier in the inning and a similarly hit ball up the middle looking for the force out. That time able to make the little shovel over to second and get the out.
That's what you want to see. Same player, a little more experience. Settled down. Throw from Cunningham got there, I think, a smidge late. Let's see. Maybe yeah, smidge late. Faith Brown needed to be about 6'7" there. Might have a chance at it.
Kendall Wells 0 for 1, grounded RBI and a walk. Well, Memphis again for a third inning has a chance to get out of a jam, do some damage control. And again, they can survive a few freebies here, error and a wild pitch and a walk in this inning if they can get out of this one with just the one run. And really, if they just got the second run and you gave up 2, it's still a pretty good job from what you've done to help Oklahoma set the table for what, again, could potentially be a huge inning.
Absolutely.
Outfield straight away again, those heels on the warning track for Wells and her 21 home runs. High fly ball to left field. There's no doubt about that one. That's going to clear the bleachers. And a big 2-out, 3-run homer. 22nd on the year for Wells.
Light tower power in the most literal sense. That one, I think, climbed just next to each of the bulbs that are out there above the left center field home run porch, and some fans out there probably pretty hot that it cleared them. There was nowhere back to go. They had to go down the stairs to go and chase that one down onto the track. But what an effort. I mean, this is, for a first-year player, let alone any player, to be this calm and to do this at the rate that she's doing it is something to behold.
Climbs another home run closer to the OU in the national freshman record. There's the strike on the outer half, and that close for Memphis to getting out of the inning. But any little mistake against an elite team, and Memphis again has played some top 25 teams this year, but we've seen it in college sports. When you get into that top 5, it's another ball game at that point. The finest mistakes you're going to pay for.
And that was one they paid for dearly.
And that opens the game up wide open now at 8-0 here in the top half of the third.
I held my tongue, Jeff. I was about to say, hey, not a single hit issued to the top third of that Oklahoma order. Isn't that nuts? And it's a good thing I didn't say that. I'd be still trying to pry my own foot out of my mouth.
Parker a walk and a strikeout tonight. 378 on the season. Right-hander pulls that one just foul at third base. Just Chubb jumping out of the way of that one. Best way to ump third on that situation, staying right next to the bag. If you got to jump out of the way, you know it's foul, even on the close ones. So Kanan did a nice job, came in an inning, got out of trouble, nearly got out of trouble here, but again, the mistake, left belt high, crushed to left center field. And another one to deep left field. And that one's going to get over just past Waldrop. Made a run at it, but out of her reach. Back-to-back home runs for the Sooners, and they now lead at 9-0.
Well, when the dam breaks, a lot's coming through, and it's feeling like it's breaking here in the third with a 5-run frame for the Sooners. But at the same time, it's a quiet 9 runs. It doesn't feel like these balls are sailing out, you know, where they're going to be tracked by NASA, but they are nonetheless climbing as far as they need to climb. And you can't be surprised when back-to-back Parker and Wells do that, with apologies to Kylie Waldrop.
Wells had the one crush. Parker gets it just over the wall in left field. And the Memphis Tigers find themselves down by 9 here in the top half of the third. Looks like a new pitcher coming out for the Memphis Tigers. It's going to be Stutz. Tell you about it when we come back. Right now, the Sooners have opened this ball game. It's a 5-run third, and Oklahoma leads at 9-0. 9-0 Oklahoma, and Memphis back into the bullpen with Avery Stutz taking over now here after OU has opened this ball game up with a 5-run third inning.
Unfortunate, Jeff. It felt like that Memphis was getting very, very close to getting out of that third inning with very minimal damage done, but they have to turn things over to Stutz because Caton just couldn't finish it off. Avery's going to be low 60s. Again, she's got to change, much like Taylor Caton that works in the high 40s. Will usually go east to west. Can change speeds, does like to climb the ladder a little bit. So we'll see the rise ball at some point, I would imagine. This is somebody that Trina Prater was recruiting when she was at Campbell and has some trust in, especially given the elevated workload for her with a couple of the Memphis arms not quite available here, as they get deeper into conference play. And it's kind of trial by fire for Taylor Caton and Avery Stutz. But Caton, at least in her first couple of bats, we saw that, the batter she faced 1, 2, and 3, she set down in order. But for Stutz, she's got to have kind of the same message ringing in her ears. It's just do the simple things, take what's in front of you, keep the ball low.
Well, some freebies set the inning up, but it was the Wells home run, the 3-run homer set up. There's an error in there and a walk in there, and that's when it turns the solo shots into the 3-run shots and back-to-back home runs. Caton, by the way, will go back over to second base, and we'll see pinch hitter up here now for OU, it looks like. So Oklahoma now with a 9-0 advantage over the Memphis Tigers. Malloy stands in. And we'll backdoor the strike on the outer half.
Tia Malloy from Woodinville, Washington, which I hear is decent wine country up there.
As the 1-1. Swings right through that one. Nice pitch that time by Stutz. Well, he got the arms extended.
Still got to be careful. Malloy's taken it out 4 times this year.
Goes after one of the outer half. Chase one out of the zone a little bit, but didn't want to risk called strike 3. So gets the foul ball off the cap. Two down, nobody on here in the top half of the third. Fouled straight back. Memphis will have 9, 1 and 2. Caton, Davis, Nessie due up in the bottom half of the inning.
I wouldn't be surprised just on the way Patty Gass was handling this, a game like this. I might see in a bat here or there, maybe a pinch running opportunity for Shani Helton at some point.
Comes in and gets called strike 3 to get out of the inning. So Stutz comes in and ends the inning. Not before OU gets 5 runs, 3 hits in air, nobody left on base, but Wells and Parker back-to-back home runs will open things up, but Stutz will shut it down to end the inning. 9-0 Oklahoma going to the bottom of the third. Well, sun setting here in the Bluff City of Memphis, Tennessee, as the 4th-ranked Sooners leading the Memphis Tigers 9-0. Memphis was right in this ball game at 5-0 before the back-to-back home runs by Oklahoma in the top half of the inning opened things up. It'll be Kate Davis and Bernesi due up here for Memphis. Memphis, a little something, a walk, 1-out walk, 1-out single. Unable to bring anyone home an inning ago. We'll see what they can do starting at the bottom of the order.
I bet you would have had a laugh from Taylor Caton if you said, hey, you're not going to start this game in the circle, but you're going to have a whole pitching appearance before you even get to bat. Oh, really?
She started out solid getting out of that jam in the second inning, but just ran into trouble.
You're right. Both freshmen, I think.
Yeah.
Stutz and Caton have some ABs they can hang their hats on, if not the the overall outcomes. But now we're getting both Gassos given the changes to the umpiring crew and Trina Prater countering.
So here's what you got defensively now for Oklahoma. You're going to have Malloy out in left field, Shani Helton in center field. Pickering will move to right field from left. You'll have Dayton at third, Barker at short, Parker at second. McDaniel stays at first. And Emmerling stays behind the plate with Razan in the circle. So you got 6 new switches out there on defense.
Just a couple. Nice to have the versatility.
Right. There we go. Taylor Caton, the second baseman, to lead things off. Again, that second, got in the circle, back to second base. Caton, 158 this year. The freshman, 17 games. This is her 18th game, 14th start of the year. We talk about the freshmen that Coach Gasso has. Again, Trina Prater playing, a few freshmen, a lot of sophomores. Still some youth on this team for Trina Prater in the second season. Rebuilding again. We talked about the state of the program. Not in good shape when she took over to win 19 games a year ago. That's your first year, your buy-in. Everyone's going to buy in. They want some kind of success, and they had some success. Second year is really kind of when you get your teeth into it. That one ripped just foul at third base. So that's a lot of times when you start to see, all right, here come the freshmen, here come the sophomores that were, able to contribute last year. And then she'll filter in there with the portal here and there.
And I think Dr. Ed Scott is probably going to keep an eye on a game like this just to see how the recruits hold up, right? You like to see what you're seeing from Stutz, from Caton, from some others. Obviously they measure themselves mostly against what you're doing in your league, but this is a good stage just to showcase some things.
Swing and a miss. That one moved inside on her.
Can't pretend that progress in softball game to game is linear, right? So many games.
Yeah.
You're bound to ride some waves, but you just want to see competitive approaches.
And she'll chase one down and in. That one fell off, and there's one away.
I'm so impressed with Cindy Berzon just being able to put the ball consistently, basically top of the knee and down in a way that hitters want it but cannot get to it, or at least cannot get to it with power.
Back to the top of the order. Davis flies one to right field. A little bit of carry, but over the shoulder. Pickering moving from left to right field, and it's just as natural over there. Good jump on it.
Yeah, the ball will find you, and Cassidy Pickering knows it. Good job reading the spin as well. Got the shoulders turned, got the play made.
And when you talk about the schedule last year, of course, she had a schedule. I think it was a great schedule for Trina Prater in her first year. She needed some quick success, had a couple games against NAI schools early in a tournament, did what they needed to do, built up some momentum, got a conference tournament win. This year, when you talk about beefing up the schedule, Northwestern that's receiving votes, Arizona State receiving votes, 14th ranked Mississippi State at the time, Iowa 2 games with 17th ranked LSU, Oklahoma here getting in her conference schedule. Obviously able to beef up the schedule. She's been around, and again, we talked about her history at LSU and with Team USA, and had been an assistant at Iowa before going back down to Campbell. Had some really nice success with the Campbells down there, but able to build that schedule up and challenge her team in year number 2. A little chopper back to the circle. And there's 2 down. Well, that actually ends the inning. So a 1-2-3, a strikeout, a fly out, and a ground out. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. 3 complete here in Memphis. 4th ranked Oklahoma on top of the Tigers, 9-0. Tyler, I was talking about what has happened so far as the schedule and what Trina Prater have put together. You'll be calling the homestand this weekend as you take a look at now with half the season left. A lot of it's going to be American Conference games.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the non-conference slate also, no joke. It's not just Ole Miss, who is, it's off to a tough start in SEC play, but that Jackson State team leads the country in steals with over 80 bases swiped already. I can't believe that number.
So here we go to start off the 4th, and that's going to be a ground ball base hit through the left side for McDaniel, and McDaniel is on for a second time. She's 2 for 3, had a first inning single before flying out to end the second inning. So 4 consecutive leadoff batters have reached base for OU.
And just by accident, it's Lexi McDaniel who's seen now 3 different arms for Memphis. So great experience for the freshman, obviously. Just getting to see a different look every time up. Having to adjust.
Stutz staying in the game after coming in to strike out Malloy an inning ago. The pinch hitter who stayed in the ball game, and now Agbayani, or Helton, excuse me, who's now in the game in center field. 450 hitter, 4 home runs. We get wowed by the big numbers their starters have coming into the game. When you Take a look at the 12 by Pickering and the 14 by Garcia, now the 22 by Wells. But you talked about the depth. Anytime now as you see the pinch hitters coming in, they make the rotation. Anytime you can come off the bench and consistently see 4 home runs, 5 home runs there, 3 home runs. They've got the pop off the bench, maybe not the at-bats, but they make the most of it.
Oh, yeah, just look for the 1 point something in the OPS category. Every single one of them over 1,000.
Jamie lifts that one foul just to the left side.
I do appreciate the pivot that has been made in the last couple of years to putting in the OPS alongside the batting average for most baseball and softball stats at the college level.
Skips that one in front of the plate. That time Mack able to make the stop. And Mack has been a workhorse behind the plate tonight. You had referenced it earlier. She really had to work hard the first 2 innings.
Sometimes you'd rather not be.
Yeah. Slow roller to the circle. That gets under the glove, and everyone is safe. Stutz brought the glove up too quickly, and it's first and second.
So if I would put my coach's hat on here, what I would say in that moment is Stutz has got to be a little bit more ready to be aggressive in fielding that ball, because as soon as she allows it to take that second hop close to her, rather than trying to go and actually stab it, that's when the English takes it away from her mitt.
And now Oklahoma trying to take advantage of the 2 base runners. It took a little bit of a hop to the left. That's still a play. As you mentioned, Todd, got to be aggressive, get in front of it, be able to knock it down.
And I'm not telling you it's easy. It's difficult, but, you know, you're looking for things you can improve upon. That's one of them.
And that one is going to be just below the knees.
They keep telling us pitchers are athletes. I'm just out here to, you know, uphold the standard.
So Oklahoma, first 2 runners on, nobody out here. That one's going to be down and out. Emmerling, who crushed the ball in the second inning on the first pitch out to left field, then reached on an air in the third. And he'll take the outside strike. 446 on the year, the home run in the second, the 10th of the year.
Hit 2 home runs in the same inning against North Texas a few weeks ago.
2-2. And rose a little bit on her, let her high.
And to her credit, she was fair and balanced. She put 1 in the right field gap and 1 in the left field gap. I think the left field gap actually was over that mean green scoreboard.
Last thing you want to do is be responsible for getting the different bleacher sections into an argument during a game. Ground ball left side in the hole. That's going to get past Cunningham. Made a nice effort diving at it. It'll be bases loaded for Oklahoma. They'll hold the runner at third. So McDaniel at third, Helton at second, and now Everling at first.
That's the play that makes you grind your teeth if you're Dina Cunningham. Got to go back and look and see, is there a hole in my mitt? How did it get through?
That showed some nice range, but as you mentioned, just got under on the dive. And now Oklahoma, it was up 5-0 an inning ago. Memphis was an out away from getting out of the jam. Then they got back-to-back home runs, blew the game open 9-0. Here's what this OU offense is used to doing, setting the table early for the big innings, and you can't set it any better than bases loaded, nobody out. You'll have the 9-hole header, Abby Dayton, coming up. You're going to flip it right back at the top of the order.
I mean, listen, let's not get too impressed yet, Jeff, okay? They average 12 runs per game. They haven't even hit that number yet. So they got some work to do, you know? I mean, leading the country in what is that? It's, I mean, only 8 categories. I mean, there's more categories than that.
The 453 just sticks out. Like, I mean, people see power numbers here and there, but to have the power with the 453, to have the contact as well. Like, that guy's prepared. He's waiting out the bleachers.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would expect to bring a glove to the ballpark when you watch this team. I mean, the way they pound the ball, without a doubt.
I thought he had the perfect situation, too. He's right there on the stairwell. So if he needs to stay in the bleachers, he's got access to his left. If it's over the bleachers, quickly down, first person down the stairs.
Got to ditch very quickly on that.
So you have the lefty up there against the right-hander. Popped it up, left side, and it's going to be Cunningham on the edge of the infield, and there's one away.
And in Cunningham's defense, you know, a career outfielder and pinch runner mostly at UCF last year, having turned into your starting everyday shortstop, you know, it's come with some lumps, but she's made a pretty good account of herself in general this year over there.
First pitch strike on the outer half. Cunningham kind of went as I mentioned earlier, went the long way around. A lot of time athlete want to get in there and see if I can get some playing time. She opted to just go to UCF. I'm going to go to school. She knocked out that bachelor's in 2.5 years. I think I did it if you reverse the numbers. So
that's right, yeah.
5.2 years.
That's right. Took us a little longer, maybe. But she's one of your people, Jeff. She's not afraid of the weight room.
No, she's not. She's an accomplished power lifter and an Olympic lifter as well. As Mac makes the stop, caught my eye. She competed in Florida in the 3A weightlifting meets in the 154-pound class. She got a 175-pound clean and jerk, so that's over your body weight, which is impressive at 154. Pretty solid bench at 165 as well. Here's a slow roller. Davis races in. There'll be no play, and really, Davis had no play. The last thing you want to do is try to make a play. You're only going to throw it away usually, so you're just going to have to concede the run.
Yeah, made the best play she could there, which was no play at all, and that stinks as a fielder. But to be quite honest, you know, that is just the breaks of the game. It's not as though that home plate area is overly soft. It should hit harder than that. It just got tapped over to Ariel Davis in a way where it wasn't going to get to her very quickly, and you know, at that point, you're at the mercy of physics.
Yeah. Well, that's the give and take of the game. You're going to line out, but you're also going to get that ball to spin in front of the plate and get you a little infield single out of it from time to time. That one is driven into left center field. One run's going to score. They'll hold the runner at third, and right now they've got the merry-go-round going as another one is tacked on the Barker base hit.
Good piece of hitting. Didn't do too much with it. Just forced Waldrop to come in and try and potentially come up throwing. Didn't have to, but in other circumstances, she was ready to do so.
One out in the inning, and the base is still loaded. Right now, OU rolling with the 5-run third, 2 here in the 4th inning, and just the 1 out.
Yeah, this might be a chance for potentially the biggest inning for Oklahoma, based on Ella Parker getting the pinch hit role here. Normally a part of that starting lineup. One of their best, most powerful swingers.
The junior waits for the first. It's a strike. Junior out of Ladera Heights, California, an All-American. Twice has been on the all-tournament team of the Women's College World Series, part of that 24 national championship team. Takes it down and away. USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year watch list. Big 12 tournament most outstanding player back in 24 before they made the switch. Popped it up into left field. Over is Waldrop. There's 2 away. They'll hold the runner, so there's 2 down in the inning.
And I was just about to say, Parker does love to go the opposite way. That's where she often flexes a lot of her power. But that time the Park held it.
So 2 away as Waldrop held the runners. Now a chance to get out of the inning. 2 runs in the inning already. Alyssa Parker goes on the back end of those back-to-back home runs an inning ago. Just got it over the left field wall after Wells hit the moonshot over the bleachers into left center. She is 1 for 2 with a walk. So Stutz gets the strike on the inner half. Stutz could get out of this, you know, since she's come in. You give up 2 runs, but relative to what you're facing tonight, one of the elite teams, log an inning into a third with a couple of runs, maybe earn that inning in the 5th, and Golder came up and in. A little protection swing there and gets the strike. You gotta like what Stutz doing. She's gonna go right at her. We talked about lay it out on the line. 1-2. Stayed high. Took a little bit off of that one from the prior pitch.
Very much in favor of this approach from Avery Stutz. You know, I talked about how important it was to keep the ball low. If you're not going to keep it low, at least put it inside. Make them use their hands.
2-2 to Davis. Steps on the bag, and that will end the inning. So Stutz started out as it could be a really big inning, but did a nice job to get out of trouble on the 5 unassisted put out at third base. 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error. Oklahoma leads Memphis 11-0. 11-0 Oklahoma headed to the bottom of the 4th. Oklahoma wrapped up an 8-game homestand. Tyler, now Memphis starts the 7-game road trip. They'll be back into conference play this weekend.
Yeah, this is the meat of the schedule, but you will see an American foe in Wichita State there come March 31st. That matchup everybody's circling, of course, is coming April 10th through the 12th against currently 2nd-ranked Texas, the defending, or if you will, reigning national champions. And obviously the Red River rivalry runs deep in every single sport, but this one in particular with the way last year went down. I think Oklahoma looking for a little bit of payback for the way that year finished, and certainly will have some time to prep for that. Obviously a homecoming for Sidney Berzon against LSU, and a homecoming as well for Waichenio against Ole Miss, right? Miley Waichenio going to go down there to a team that she carried to the World Series last season, and see how the Rebels are faring this season. So a lot on tap for the Sooners and their fan base.
Oklahoma up 11-0 as the Tigers, a couple base runners of the second, then went down 1-2-3 an inning ago. Berzon stays out there. 3 innings, a hit, no runs, 1 walk. She has struck out 2. And that was her 43rd pitch of the night. Faith Brown 0 for 1, and Brown, little float over to the left side. Easy pickup for Barker, and there's 1 down. Caught a piece on the outer half of the bat, unable to drive that one. You know, we've talked about some of their players specifically defensively, but what gets overlooked as a team, just 13 errors, 982. You feel 980, you're better. You're going to be a really solid club. And, you know, the 13 errors, the impressive thing in this season through 30 games. Usually if you make an error a game, it's about average. In college, you get below that, you're doing pretty good, but you're averaging less than half an error a ball game. You're in a different realm altogether.
Yeah, you go back and look at some of these highlights that you got online for the Oklahoma Sooners, and I mean, their middle infield defense is especially impressive. Their hot corner defense is impressive. You know, the ground covered in center field, in particular by Kai Minor, is pretty sharp. But I do think, you know, some of it is the quality of pitching, right? And knowing what to expect and having everybody on the same page. But, you know, we talked to Patty Gasso about it. She said, I try to make practice competitive in, you know, ways where people are hungry to go after it, right? Because you're not necessarily always going to get the reps live in game. So, you know, how do you challenge this team and the players that maybe won't get as many at-bats, as many throws, you know, to find a way to find an edge, and it's in practice.
Funny, I watched an interview that Patty Gasso did a couple of months ago on that subject, how she conducts practices, and it's gone back several years, not just the competitive nature, but she wants to make a competition in practice every day. Also wants to give the players the responsibility in practice. And there's a shot down the right field line. That's going to get down. And Mack is going to be on her way to second. She's going to try for third. She'll slide in safe. 1 out trouble for Jasmine Mack.
Didn't see that coming. Maybe Jasmine Mack didn't either. Right place. Challenged Pickering out there. Just got it beneath it. And now things get a little interesting.
Well, if you're Trina Prater, fouled back. Look, you know the situation. It's 11-0, bottom of the 4, but you want to see your team and against elite level competition. Runner at third, less than 2 out. Can you get a run in at this level? This is where we talk about build some kind of momentum before we get back in the league play against CCU. Do some things, and I think in the circle, yeah, they've given up some freebies. They've also gotten out of some big jams. Now on offense, can we do something to take into the weekend? Can you get that run in from third base? Slow roller to the left side. Mack's going to hold up over to first in time.
It's a good throw there.
So Barker was playing in, took the quick look to her right, held Mack at third base.
Maybe they take a chance, the faster runner, but typically contact down to the left side. You're holding up there.
Oh, here's Simeon. Now can you get it done with 2 outs? Right now, Simeon doesn't necessarily need to hit, get on base, get the next Tiger to the plate.
Anything you can do to try and avoid being Oklahoma's 7th shutout victim of the year, you'd like to.
Starts ahead in the count. Fouls it off. That'll even it up at 1-1.
You talked about the defense, Jeff, and that game against Abilene Christian where they had 4 double plays a few weeks ago. That was Berzon pitching, and it happened in 5 innings of work. Just to go and watch tape of that game and just to see the infield defense hard at work, you know, is incredible, honestly. And it's because I think in part, you know, Berzon induces so many ground balls, but I'm kind of shocked we haven't seen a double play turn tonight by the Sooners for that reason. That's, by the way, nobody's had more than 4 double plays in a game this year. That's the team high. Oklahoma's tied with about 4 or 5 others, ECU being one of them in that category.
Popped it up into center. And here comes Helton, and that will end the inning. Tigers got a 1-out triple. They'll lean back at third base to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. A runner left on base. We move to the 5th, and the Sooners still up 11-0. 11-0 Oklahoma tonight, and the big inning was the 5-run third. As you kind of look back at it, Tigers did a solid job at the first. They got and put themselves into a jam. Now let's be honest here. Got out of it, 2 runs. Back in another bases-loaded jam at the second. Got out of it, did some damage control. You're an out away in the third from it just being 5-0, but made the mistake back-to-back home runs. They put it at the 5 spot, 2 spot an inning ago. Game got away in that third inning. When you look at the game, they've done some good things tonight for a young team playing elite competition, but it doesn't matter if you're playing Oklahoma or you're playing anyone else in the country, 1 through 3, whatever, in at the collegiate level. 7 walks, 3 wild pitches, and the 4 errors are going to get you regardless of who you play.
Yeah, and this team, I think, in a good way for a team that is growing into who they want to be, like Memphis, gets a great standard to kind of watch and see in the Oklahoma Sooners, because as we talked about at the top of the broadcast, they're a team that when they notice blood in the water, they will try and make you bleed more, right? They will go after it, and they have certainly attacked the Tigers' weaknesses tonight.
Fouled off to the left side. Interesting, and you and I have done plenty of games at the university and seen some elite level, of course, with women's basketball when Connecticut used to be in the league, and I would tell people, it's not necessarily what those teams do. Obviously, UConn did impressive things with women's basketball. Oklahoma does impressive things at the plate and in the circle. Here's a fly ball to left field. Waldrop toward the line, and there's 1 away. I was even telling someone tonight, when you play elite level teams in any sport, it's really what they don't do.
Yeah.
Routine play, they're not going to have trouble with the ground ball. They're not going to have trouble calling each other for a fly ball. They're not going to swing at silly pitches, get themselves down in counts. So it's not always what they do. Even though what they do is wildly impressive, it's things they don't do that make them elite. That one is Coach Gasso talked about it. And I was going back to what I was talking about an inning ago, as she talked about her practice, as she wants it to be a competition, but also wants them to have fun. She'll give them the responsibility. She says, sometime I'll give my players, I'll pick a few out, and they will put the practice together. And she says she gets a kick out of it. It's one of the first times she did it the first year. Players started dressing like her. I'll just wear the same outfit, come out. Well, here's my practice plan. But thought the interesting thing was that competition breeds the competition. She said, if we just have a race to first base, if I said we're going to race for a penny, they would go at it like it's $1 million. They want to be in the front. They want to compete. And in a different interview, someone was asking her about, what do you value more? The softball IQ or athleticism? She goes, I want the athlete. I can teach the IQ. I can get the IQ up. Can't always teach the athleticism, but I can teach the game, and she's proving that right now. She's kind of juggling things right now. It's going to get hot and heavy after the season as we get close to the 28 Olympics in L.A. She'll be handling Team USA.
Yeah, and certainly I think warranted to be the person in that role for the coming Los Angeles Olympics.
Off the handle, too short, and there's 2 down. Said she's already got a few players that'll come over to Norman, do their workouts, practice a little bit, but
I mean, you look at the facilities,
yeah,
you know, who are close by the University of Oklahoma or even in Oklahoma City. It's not hard to say yes to that. That is a softball crazy state. I mean, in the amateur ranks, right, the Alliance is you know, one of the organizations that has the high-level softball tournaments, and there's a whole Alliance region. That's just the central region, and it's just the outline of the state of Oklahoma. That's how crazy they are for this sport.
The 0-1. And gets a strike called on the outer half. So Stutz, boy, if Stutz can get out of this inning, she's going to have given you 2 1/3, I think, really impressive innings here tonight against the 4th-ranked team of the country.
Yeah, with just the one hiccup, honestly.
Reaches out to the left side. Picked up Cunningham to first, not in time.
I think if you're looking for things to work on as well, you can hem and haw, I guess, on a play like that, but I think as the tenured person in the infield, that's Ariel Davis. She can take that ball, even working to her left. You know, it's fine for her to step in front of Cunningham and take that ball from her rather than kind of slowing up and allowing the shortstop to make that play. I think the throw gets there faster if Davis does that. You know, be aggressive.
Right. A third baseman always has the priority. You're taught from a young age. If you can get to the ground ball, you've got the momentum. Take the reins over there and just go for it and do what you can over to first base. But that leaves the inning open here for Emmerling, who's been on 3 times, including the leadoff home run back in the 2nd inning. It's called strike on the inner half. Evens it up at 1-1. You and I were talking before the game. I've seen Davis play a couple of games I've done. Been impressive what she's been able to do at third this year at times. You talked about how she's moved around and battled some stuff and a lot of stuff on her shoulders, but does a nice job handling things at third for the most part.
For sure, and it's a heavy burden as the offensive and defensive leader of the team, playing the position that often, you know, sees the most action, that and shortstop, depending on how many lefties you've got in the order. She is continuing to carry that.
1-2 as Mack will make the stop behind the plate. Feigns the throw down the first.
She's made her, you know, share of errors, she and Cunningham over there. But again, that's in part because of, you know, the pool of chances, right? It's not an evenly divided pie in terms of batted balls in play.
2-2, tip that one to stay alive.
But to your point, you know, earlier, the one thing I would add to that, you know, the eliteness of teams is the one Gino Oriema practice that I got to watch. One of the comments that he made after was, you know, we practice not to get it right one time. We practice not to get it wrong.
Right. 2-2 on the inner half. So a nice little battle going on here between Avery Stutz and Emmerling. Emmerling, an interesting story because she catches, but also went to Patty Gasso. Another interview that I watched. And, you know, they were looking at how can I stay in the lineup? What can I do for the team? And said, I'll learn to play first base. I'll take 1,000 ground balls over the next week, but I will find my way onto this field. She's played some third, now can play some first, can catch. You know, it's always impressive when the older players will do what they need to do to continue to find ways to help out a team.
Yeah, that's, I think, what you want when you're looking for a player-led team, right? And to have the kind of success Oklahoma's had.
Ground ball, hard hit, that'll get through. Cunningham had to go to her left. Throwing to third, not in time. Runners at the corners with 2 outs here in the top half of the 5th. Third hit of the night for Emmerling. She's been on 4 times.
She continues to impress, especially just as, you know, this is their quote-unquote their midweek catcher, right? When you get, you know, a chance in other instances for Kendall Wells to be behind the plate as a freshman, that is just an abundance of riches.
Abby Dayton. He'll take the ball. Dayton, a couple of walks and a pop-up, so 0 for 1, but she's been on twice and scored once. 492 on the year, 3 home runs. So Emmerling at first, Helton over at third. Fly ball to center field. That's going to send Simeon back and straight away over the 220 mark. 2-out, 3-run homer. That's the second 2-out, 3-run homer of the night for the Sooners.
It took a while, Jeff, but I feel like that's the best stroke we've seen this evening. I mean, powered out dead center field, past the flagpoles out there, even with the wind having died down. That is, I would say, as impressive a shot as any we've seen this evening from Abby Dayton in particular, who's not known the way her teammates are for power.
4th home run of the season. As you said, that got letter high and just went with it up the middle.
I think if that's Quidditch, that's points between the poles, right? Got to go back in my knowledge of the game.
So 2 away here. And Trina Prater are going to make a move in the circle, just get someone else a third of an inning. Obviously, the game sitting at 14-0, but a chance to see one more out. We're going to take a timeout. Top of the 5th, OU, 14-0. Top of the 5th, 14-0 Oklahoma as Jasmine Chavez. Another one of the young pieces that Trina Prater has, a sophomore out there. They develop over the next couple of years. She's got some of those freshman, sophomore in place as long as they stay the course.
Yeah, had a rough one against UTSA over the weekend. An inning, a third of an inning, giving up 5 runs, but none of them were earned. So you can tell, you know, there's been some betrayal by the defense at times this season in a way that doesn't help the pitching staff, and that's one of the things that has to get cleaned up in order to not just knock down the ERAs, but also to try and get Tigers some wins.
Has logged 40 2/3 of an inning. Got ahead.
It doesn't help the pitching staff, and that's one of the things that has to get cleaned up in order to not just knock down the ERAs, but also to try and get Tigers some wins.
Has logged 40 2/3 of an inning. Got ahead, then the ball way outside. Comes back, gets ahead here. 1-2. Transfer from UNLV where she was 3-2. So saw some action out west. Leaves it off the plate again. So she stayed away from the left-handed hitter here in this sequence. Pickering with 12 home runs and 10 doubles. Don't blame her. Got her to chase one. Let her high on the outer half. And regardless of who you are, what team you have, to keep that discipline up 14-0 to not just go after wild pitches. Like, it's easy when we all remember when we were young and games going great, chase balls out of the zone, trying to hit home runs, just to stay in that mindset. Whether it's first inning in a 0-0 game, you're up 14 or down 14. Got her to foul off. So good little battle going on here between Chavez and Pickering.
You never know when staying locked in throughout the game and making a meaningless at bat means something will be important down the line.
It'll stay upstairs. Got away from her. So it'll be a 2-out walk issued. And so Stutz came in, got the first 2 outs, then went single home run before that chased her for Chavez. Now Pickering walked. So all this damage by Oklahoma done with 2 outs and nobody on in the inning. Now here is Barker. Singled an inning ago. Upstairs again. She stayed away from Pickering on the outside, but mostly she's missed upstairs here to the first 2 batters. Has elevated a couple of pitches.
And that control has been, you know, I would say an issue that she's consistently been working on. You know, somebody who can touch just the lower 60s and again brings that change up down in the 40s. Does have a heavy curveball, but is spin based usually, you know, so that requires precision. And if you're not quite in form, don't have your best stuff on a given night, you got to fight it a little bit.
7, 8, 9 will be due up for Memphis in the bottom half of the 5th. There is the offering. We'll miss low that time. So at the least, had been missing high, is able to get it on the lower plane, still behind in the count 2-0. down and in. And again, we had mentioned early in the game, this game sold out. Big game here in Memphis. They added the bleachers, 551. The attendance on the hard sellout here tonight. A lot of those going to donors, and a chance to expose the program here to the Tiger fans. A lot of the fans that may not have been able to get out here, and a chance to see what Trina Prater is doing in her second year, trying to get this thing going over the next couple of seasons. And that's when you can get a game like Oklahoma to come to your place for Trina, get these people to see it, garner some interest, maybe come back for a game or two. But when you talk about momentum, you just don't talk about on the field either. You got to take that 360 view of your program.
That's right. Oklahoma's softball community was not built in a day or overnight. It does take consistently being good and the reinvestment once you've been good.
That's going to be just outside, got away, but Oklahoma's going to stay at first and second. It's interesting. I was looking at, Patty Gasso's history at Oklahoma. She took over a solid program, but it definitely was not elevated to the way she elevated it to a completely new level. They had some success, but when she got her hands on the program, and you talk about skyrocketing into another atmosphere. Yeah, into left center field. That one is going to one-hop the wall before Waldrop gets it. They're just going to move up a couple of bases. Pickering will come around to score. And that will be a 2-out double, and that will expand the lead. 15-0 on the double by Parker out in the left center field alley. Went the opposite way with that. Here is Parker, who had the solo shot with 2 outs in the third. That's a good point you made. It's you get there a couple of times, that's great. The sustainment, though, is always the challenge when you get to that level, because you can't sit back and go, that's great, we won that first College World Series. You got to keep, whether it's recruiting or pumping resources into the program, and we know it comes down to it. You talk about financial resources for facilities and other amenities and other needs. Keeping it there is always the challenge.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're the hunted as well.
Well, yeah, and I think the greatest expression of that is going 4 for 4, 2021 through 2024, where you see 4 consecutive national titles. Now you have officially fought off everybody trying to get up your mountain.
Jericho Tate, who got this start, is going to come back in and try to get this final out here. So at the numbers, Jericho to start out this ball game, 1 inning, 2 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned. She had the 5 walks. Just struggled finding the strike zone. 44 pitches and 16 from strikes. So a chance for her to come in. She can get this out, at least take something positive. Look, I know the lights were bright. You're playing the 4th-ranked team. Just put her in, followed by the walk, couple of walks, low to the bases, and then that chased her out of the game in the second. Just a matter of the freebies catching up with her.
Yeah, you did mention how, the wind and also just the Tigers at times problems with control might make it effectively wild for a time.
Yeah.
And there's a threshold past which you can't sustain it. But it would be nice to see Tate come back in, at least, close the game on a good note, in terms of the pitching side of things.
Pitch to Parker. And that one will miss. And Tate will start now in the hole. Second and third, 2 down, 15-0 Oklahoma. The 2 big innings, the 5-run third and the 4-run fifth that we're in right now. Gets the strike on the inside. They scored a pair in the first, a pair in the second. They get 4-0 lead. It was 5-0 in the third. Looked like Memphis may get out of it, but the 3-run homer by Wells and the solo shot by Parker opened it up to make it 9-0. They would add 2 in the fourth, 4 right now in this inning, and still not done unless Tate can get out of it. She's got a couple strikes on her, though.
I don't think you can put the hay in the barn at any point in time until that final strike is squeezed firmly. And Marley manages to submit.
Chopped it straight down. Well, one thing the Tigers did, it's all relative. still have 4 errors, but they've had the tendency this year to have an inning where things really got away defensively. They've avoided that tonight. The strikeout, they'll have to throw out at first. That will complete the inning. 4 runs on 4 hits, no errors, couple left on base. Go to the bottom of the 5th inning here in Memphis. The 4th-ranked Sooners leading the Memphis Tigers 15-0, but another Oklahoma home run, a 3-run shot by Dayton. 15-0, 4th-ranked Oklahoma. Memphis coming up to the plate here in the bottom of the 5th. And even though Tyler, no, OU is starting this long road trip, Berkeley, a freshman coming in, so we'll see our second pitcher of the night for Oklahoma. They are thinking about one of their teammates back at home.
Well, certainly, I think Berkeley Zakay is, trying to come in to make the most of her appearance. But today, knee surgery for Nellie McEnroe-Moranis, who was first-team All-SEC last year. And she was lost that ACL against Southeastern Louisiana earlier this year. And your heart goes out to a veteran player like that, who's been such a big part of this operation. Second time she's had a season-ending injury in her career. So just a quick shout-out to her and hopeful for a speedy and smooth recovery.
Pop up into right field this time. Pickering up under it, and Cunningham flies out. Zakay, 7th outing, 3.15 ERA, 6 2/3 of an inning, 10 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 370 average against on the year, 1 hit batter.
And it's kind of impressive. Everybody deals with nicks and dings and different people banged up, depending who it is. But Oklahoma's dealing with 2 pretty considerable absences. Yeah. And it's just not Nellie McEnroe-Moranis. It's also pitching coach Jennifer Rocha, who's been dealing with some health problems and has been away from the team for a time, but she's been in contact with them constantly, and obviously hopeful that one of the people that Patty Gasso trusts the most to run her program gets back with them.
So Zakay gets the strike there. Had 0-2.
First time working for Zakay since March the 7th, when she threw a scoreless inning against Louisiana.
Came in and hit her. It's only the second freebie. When you talk about what teams at the elite level don't do, that's a walk and a hit batter, the only free bases they've allowed here tonight.
And Zakay in 6 appearances coming in with 6 punch outs and 4 walks. It's been pretty low in the 3 true outcome front, but that time just got a little bit inside there on the forearm of Cunningham. Available and took it. So Memphis will take the base runner. See if they can avoid being shutout victim number 7 for Oklahoma this year. It will take Isabella Hune, I think, running at first base in place of Cunningham to score, to try and get that accomplished. Otherwise, it's shutout number 7 for the Crimson and Cream, and their 18th win in a row, dating back to February 21.
So Hune pinch running for Waldrop, and that'll bring up Caton. Caton, a 150 hitter on the year, struck out back in the 3rd. So Caton will step out. So runner at first, 1 out here, bottom of the 5th. Oklahoma up 15-0. Zakay's offering a strike that moves to the outer half.
It's been, bite-sized samples for Berkeley Zakay, and for a freshman, managing that a little bit, but hasn't allowed an earned run since February the 7th. So she's done what she's needed to do.
Off the handle and over the first base dugout.
And as you know, doing baseball the way you've done it, there's no such thing as too much pitching.
Right.
Oklahoma right now, one of 5 SEC teams that have 2 or fewer losses on the year. So that's Alabama, Florida, Texas, and Tennessee, the others.
Goes after one high and Rose on her, and the Tigers down to the last out. Zakay gets the strikeout, back to the top of the order. Ariel Davis, ground out to second and a fly out to right field tonight, 0 for 2. And the Tigers will be at home this weekend against ECU. Oklahoma headed down to Oxford. About an hour drive down to Oxford, Mississippi. And they'll have the weekend against Ole Miss.
About an hour. You got some lead in that foot, my friend.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I got to ride shotgun with you sometime.
Fouled back into the right. Take the Patty Gasso approach. It's a competition.
Yeah, right. We are not officially advocating for that.
Tigers down 0-2 in the count to Davis. Popped it up to the right side. Over at first will be Parker, and that will end it. So Oklahoma will win it 15-0. 15 runs, 13 hits, no errors. Memphis no runs, 2 hits, 4 errors on the night. OU improving to 29-2. Memphis dropping to 7-20. Tyler, thoughts on this game tonight? Obviously, the Tigers knew they had a huge challenge coming in against one of the elite teams in the country. There's
some experiences out there worth xeroxing, I think, for those Memphis Tigers, especially the young players like Stutz, like Taylor Caton, just getting in there and feeling like you can do it against the highest level competition in the country, even for a couple of batters, right? There's ways to spread that out. You're not expected to learn that overnight, but I think for the Tigers, a lot to work on as well, particularly on defense and knowing where their weaknesses are and how to, again, do the things that elite teams do by not doing the things that regular teams do in terms of making the mistakes.
Well, we'll thank all the 551 that came out tonight for this game, but that will wrap things up. We thank you so much for joining us this evening.